everybody. It's Michelle Lavore here with
Devin Lavore.
Well, as many of you know, we are expecting baby number 4 in just another 4 short months, basically. So we just wanted to share kind of how we got to having baby number 4, because we were certainly not wanting to have another one.
Well, we weren't wanting to birth
another one. I did not want to be pregnant again. I didn't really enjoy pregnancy with any of the 3 we've had previously. It was just really difficult, and I just...
A lot of emotional...
Very emotional.
It's like prepartum depression. Postpartum.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
just a lot of hormone shifting and stuff for you, you know?
Yeah. So very difficult as far as hormones and all of that. But then even just for my body, I had a lot of just pain involved, especially with the last one. And so it was pretty much like, all right, I am done. We're just done. And it was just a lot of work having 3 kids so close together. And so we were pretty much like...
you're pregnant with them. Yeah. And then you nurse them. Mm-hmm. You nursed Aliyah for 2 years and what? 2 years and then 2 months or something?
Yeah.
And it was like, that's 3 years of your life right there. You know what I mean? Wrapped up in one kid.
Yeah.
So by that point, I think we were significantly burnt out.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it was. We were burnt out.
Yeah. And now don't get me wrong, there are some people who absolutely love having all their kids really close together, and they have 7, 8, 20 of them. And that's totally fine. But for us, it was just really difficult. So then for me, it was probably around July of this last year. 2016. I started really just kind of desiring that we would be able to have more kids in our family.
Yeah,
and
start looking at baby pictures and stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? This is not a good sign.
No. And so I started just kind of looking into the adoptions, and for me it was just like, wow, this is a process, and I really want to add to our family before then, you know, and just kind of where we were at in life, and the prospect of adoption kind of seemed pretty small and slim. But at the same time, it was still like, I don't think I really want to go through pregnancy again. So it just kind of was simmering in my heart, like, we definitely want to expand our family, but how exactly that was going to happen, I didn't know. And it just kept building up, I guess, in me, and then I kind of brought it to Devin, and we started talking about it, and what did we want to do, and it was just like, all right, well, by basically
Well, I think it was basically for me in September that I was just like, I don't know, I just got hit with this sense of like, we need to have another baby. You know, it was just like, and I think that was coinciding with you, because I remember the Lord gave you that word, like, you know, about this adoption thing, you know, let me do it. Let me take care of it. Don't try to rush to do this thing that you want to do. Just, you know, and I was like, okay, that sounds great. And around that same time, I was just like, man, I started seeing babies everywhere. It was crazy. I started seeing babies everywhere. I'd get online, I'd see a baby, and I go, oh, man.
Yeah, melted your little heart.
Babies, look at them. They look so awesome. And it's like the scripture says, you know, the heart of the king is in the hands of the Lord, and he'll turn it whichever direction he wanted. And God was turning mine. It was like, baby. And I was like, oh, and it didn't take long for me it built up in me, and I was just like, yeah, I really think we need to have this. And it was just weird because we were so done, right?
Yeah.
We were done. We were like, we're going to adopt the next 2. And maybe that's the only way we're getting twins, is we'll adopt them. So for me, I was like, I knew, like, in October, I was like, we need to just, this needs to happen. It was, because when God's doing something and he's really moving on your heart, it just continually builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until you're like, I can't resist this.
Yeah.
That's what it was like for me. But it was more than I can't resist it. I was like, I really wanted it.
Yeah.
Was that true for you as well? Yeah.
Yeah. So we decided to have another baby.
That's right. That's right. And the interesting thing is that it took the Lord to do this, and we didn't understand it until later.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, this is not just God adding to our family. God is doing something, right? So I'm in the kitchen one day, right? Michelle's like, I don't know, 10 weeks along or whatever. And I'm thinking, oh, this is great. We're going to have another baby, man. Well, there's so much stuff that we need to get. We've gotten rid of all of our baby stuff. What are we going to do about that? And blah, 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 blah. You start going through all the logistics, right? And then I felt like the Lord, because he had been giving us all these different promises and things that he was stirring up, things that we talked about it pretty well in our previous video about what God's doing and where we think he's taking us and all the different things that are going on. And so God just interrupts me this one particular day while I was in the kitchen, and he starts speaking to me about how Nova, because that's what we decided to name her, was Nova. We had no idea that meant new, I guess, at the time. Maybe we did.
Oh, we just forgot.
I think we did. We forgot. But at that moment, I had made the connection that Nova and was new, and that God was basically saying that I'm doing something new. And of course, I rolled my eyes and I'm going, Lord, really? That's the best you could come up with? Really? I have heard that 100 million times from 10,000 different preachers, and now here you come telling me, behold, I'm doing something new. Come on now.
Well, and that kind of goes into like the whole process, really, because that was a new process for us. With our last 3, we never tried to have babies. They just came.
In fact, with Aliyah, we tried not to. And it was like, oh, man. Oh, well.
Yep. And so, just the whole process of it all was a new thing for us. And then it's kind of like ironic then that God's like, hey, she's going to represent the new things that I'm going to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for me, it was a very serious moment with the Lord, because he was very adamant with me, like, no, I am doing this. Like, because why is this important? Is because, my whole Christian life has been littered with all kinds of potholes of disappointment along the road. Right? And I'm just like, you think God's going to do this, or you think God's going to do that, or you think God's doing this. And it's just like, okay, he is doing this thing maybe, but it's completely different than what you're thinking. And it's just a big disappointment. It does not fulfill the desire of the heart, is basically what it boils down to. Got a lot of unfulfilled desire of the heart based on things that I was hoping God was going to do. Almost like the nation of Israel when they came to Jesus and they were like, hey, is now the time you're going to establish the kingdom? That was kind of like my heart throughout my whole relationship with God. Is like, ooh, is now the time you're going to fulfill these things you told me? To the point where I didn't even remember them anymore. When we moved to Missouri 3 years ago. Almost 4 years ago. I did it again. I was like, ooh, now's the time when God's going to do those things he promised me. And it didn't happen. And he's like, no, I'm going this direction. And it's like, you get disappointed, you get bummed out, you get a little depressed, but you get over it, you get happy, you move on with life. That's the maturity process right there. But for me, in that kitchen that one day, she's 10 weeks pregnant. We know we're going to name her Nova and all this stuff. And just things started clicking as the Lord was speaking to me. And he was but he was really serious. And he was like, listen, no, I am going to do this. I am so serious about what I'm getting ready to do in your life, and that it is going to be a new thing, that I have given you a sign. I have given you a physical sign because so much about what God has shared with me in the past 20 years leading up to today is about birthing this new thing, this life that I've never had, and you know, all these promises, you know, like it says in Isaiah, shall I bring to the moment of birth and then not deliver, you know, not cause to come forth, you know, I, God, who caused women to give birth, shall I shut the womb right at the moment that it's supposed to be delivered? No, I'm not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And God was saying, now is the time for the delivery. I am getting ready to deliver you. I'm getting ready to birth these dreams and these visions and this whole lifestyle. I'm getting ready to birth that in you, the stuff that we mentioned in our previous video. And I've given you a sign because, Devin, I know you. I know that you have suffered so much disappointment
Mm-hmm.
that I have to give this to you because you will not believe it. If I don't give you a sign, a continual physical reminder, kind of like John the Baptist when he got his mouth shut for not believing the angel that his wife was going to be pregnant, Elizabeth was going to be pregnant with John the Baptist. Zechariah was just like, his mouth was shut. He needed that physical sign as a constant reminder that God was going to do this thing. Why? Because it takes 9 months for a baby to be born. You know, it only takes about 9 minutes or 9 hours or 9 days for you to just completely doubt what God told you was going to happen.
Or 9 seconds.
Or 9 seconds. That's true. Some ravens come in and steal the seed. But anyway, but the bottom line is God's like, I am so serious about what I'm getting ready to do that I'm going to physically manifest it in your life in the form of a baby. And then that's the word that I got that day. And it was one of those like rare, like God came down in the cloud and stood next to me type of thing. And he was like, listen, this is what I'm getting ready to do. I know you've been through a lot of disappointment and hurt and pain and woundedness thinking that I was going to do this or do that. But now I'm the one telling you, I'm getting ready to do this right now. Have you ever heard me say that before? Nope. Mm-hmm. And God just started flooding my heart, reminding me of all the promises that he had given me. And he was like, I'm getting ready to do all of that. So later on, you get a word as well.
Yeah, actually not all that long ago when I was reading in Isaiah and in chapter 8. I think
so.
Yeah, around 8.
Or 7.
Yeah, 7 or 8. Either way.
It's in Isaiah. I'll put it up there.
And it was just kind of, for us, kind of the confirmation that God uses babies as signs. And so in this instance, he's talking to Isaiah to go have a baby, and then he tells them to name the baby.
Give it a specific name.
Very specific name.
My hair, shalala, hasha, halabaz, or something.
It was a very long name.
It was super long. And that was as a continual reminder of a judgment that God was getting ready to do.
But in either way, it was a continual reminder. And I really felt like God was kind of just re-establishing this, like, this baby, our baby Nova, is a continual reminder of the new things that he's going to do in our life. And another thing that God had said was that she would be very happy, and that there would and that's really kind of where he wants to take us, to a place where we have a lot of just happiness in our lives, because we'll be over
gladness in the house of the Lord,
because of just God fulfilling the promises that he's given.
Well, because when you fulfill the desire of a person's heart, that makes them happy. Mm-hmm. You know, Dad, I really want to go to Orange Leaf, get some ice cream. I've been waiting all day. All right, come on, let's go. Yay! Mm-hmm. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
You know? Now, I don't want to over simplify or understate how significant that is. Because God spoke to us twice. Mm-hmm. Now, when God speaks in twos, 2 is the number of confirmation. That means he's very serious about it. I mean, he spoke to me and spoke to her. Mm-hmm. And it's like, God's like, I am going to do this. Now, why is that significant? Because God is like, I want you to believe for this. I want you to come onto my team. I want you to grab a hold of my hand. I want us to go forward into the end zone, and we're going to get this thing done. We're going to see this happen. It's going to happen. you know?
We had decided on Nova's name a long time ago, actually. And her full name is actually going to be Nova.
It came from one of my stories.
It did.
Anyway,
I love.
so did Elias.
So did Elias. So I loved both of those names. But her full name is going to be Nova Eleanor Renee, and so it means new light reborn. And for us, it's very significant of just there's the new light, or the light being the revelation of God reborn in really the hearts of people, and
also in us too, though.
In us.
Because I mean, we've been through so much.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty dry. Not in our relationship with God, but just in. It's like you can have a great relationship with God through years of drought, but it's like to the degree where you almost miss what the rain feels like. And it's like, we need that. It's like that new light. What is the light? It's the revelation of God. You know what I mean? And it's like to be reborn. And it's like, and it's funny because it's new revelation, but it's based on all these old promises that God's given to me, and He's gonna birth those things. You know, it's like it's not just going to be oh, here's a promise I'm going to do someday. Now it's time for them to actually be born.
So we're just really excited for when Nova comes, and for just really seeing God deliver His promises. So we just wanted to share that part of our story because it is also a very significant part, and weren't really able to squeeze that in with the other video about where God has us. And hope that this is an encouragement to everybody out there, and we will see you again on another Our Story.
Yay.
Bye.
See you guys.